up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the stream. Before we even get started, make sure to like the video, repost. If you're watching over on YouTube, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And today, we've been talking about VeChain for quite some time. If you follow my channel, you know they've been my sponsor for a while. But today, we're going to have the honor of hanging out with Jake from VeChain and doing an Ask Me Anything. Jake, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey guys, yeah, all is well. Coming at you from the UK. Obviously watching the FOMC news break at the moment, watching Bitcoin bounce around. So fun stuff.
It's crazy how like we've been, we don't know what's going on, but we've been like fighting 93,000 to 89. It's just been crazy, but
madness.
If you would have told me last run we would have hit 125K Bitcoin, I would have told you were crazy, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
So if you guys want to check out VeChain, make sure you check out all the links. Everything is in the description down below. And if you're watching over on X, it is in the first comment. So Jake, obviously you're representing VeChain, one of my favorite projects, an OG project in the space. Not a lot of people understand that VeChain's been around for 10 years already. Just talk about a little bit what you do for VeChain. Give us a little bit, of information about yourself, like your background in crypto and those sorts of things. And then we'll get into what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, so hey everyone, I'm the head of comms at VeChain. I've been in the project or hanging around the project since 2017. Found it in the first bull run that I joined, and really loved what the project is doing. Obviously focused on real world utility, kind of triggered a bit of a light bulb in my head about, blockchain can be used for something beyond like number go up with Bitcoin, obviously. And yeah, really triggered my passion. I'm, big into technology, always have been. So for me, this was like a really cool opportunity to be on the cutting edge. And funnily enough, I got involved with VeChain in a really decentralized way, basically hanging out on Reddit, talking a lot, and then eventually kind of got friendly with the mods and then started doing more, community work, and then just eventually rose through the ranks to now being a head of comms, working with Anthony Day as our CMO/marketing director. And yeah, having a great time, man. Like you said, been almost 10 years now, which is wild. I can't believe crypto's getting old.
And obviously crypto's been around since what, 2009. 10 years is an eternity in this space. Let's be honest. With the amount of projects that come and go, and a lot of people don't understand that before X, Reddit was like the spot for crypto. X is obviously come into its own either the last few years, but Reddit was like the spot to get alpha. So it's actually pretty interesting that you found VeChain on Reddit. And we're so used to price go up in this space. No one's really, a lot of people don't really care about utility, even though I think that's changing now. But VeChain was one of the first big projects to do so. And obviously there's a lot of new things happening for VeChain lately. Again, definitely with Stargate, VeBetter DAO, which I love, and obviously the vWorld wallet. So can you explain what VeChain is? And for those who haven't been following, pretty much in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's a real tricky question. I've tried to work on this over the years because we do so much. Ultimately, it's a layer one. We forked from EVM originally, added some modifications to make us kind of suitable for enterprise use cases initially. That's what we're best known for, like the supply chain stuff. And obviously, that still goes on, but we've kind of evolved a lot over the years because there's a lot of basically as blockchains got more accepted and started to move more and more into the mainstream. So now we're doing things around sustainability, which you touched on with the VeBetter app ecosystem. So instead of just being B2B focused, we're now on the B2C. So we've got this kind of app platform, which is all about, actions you can do throughout your day. So keeping that real world utility focus, you can get up and use these apps all throughout your day. When you're having a coffee, you cycle to work or you run to work, or if you're crazy, drive a Tesla, working out. It's all about sustainability, health, fitness, that kind of stuff. And of course, we're still doing the business stuff in the background. So we have our platform toolchain. We've actually got a bunch of new clients in the pipeline, which will come to the surface in the next kind of few weeks to months. And yeah, we just had a major upgrade. So it's called Hayabusa. So to get into the main meat of the pie, this is a pretty crazy upgrade as blockchains go, right? So we basically migrated the consensus mechanism as it was running, which was a huge technical feat. All transition without any hitches. Shout out to the core dev team, obviously very professional bunch. And basically what it's done is we've transitioned to a new consensus. It's made the network more decentralized. But the main thing I think for users and listeners is the rewards are better, the tokenomics are better, and it's trying to basically align the stakeholder needs, right? So we have business users, they love cheap transactions, they love us being able to keep the cost low. But when it comes to people running nodes who want rewards, that's not always necessarily the best thing. So we've kind of rejigged the tokenomics to make it work for everyone. So we've still got the cheap transactions, but now we've got much better tokenomics for validators running the network and you know, the guys staking on the, and guys and girls staking on things.
You know, one of the things I like about just staking in general, because, you know, many different, first of all, I want to go back to you guys not having any like hiccups or hitches, you know, during this process, because we all know in the crypto space, it's tough to create anything without some sort of like security issue. So kudos to you guys. And one thing I do like about staking and earning rewards is that if you believe in a project long-term, I mean, there's so many opportunities to earn and just become a bigger part of the ecosystem. So I really like what you're doing with the whole Hayabusa, Stargate whole thing. But can you explain, or excuse me, so in a nutshell, why should VeChain users or just people that are maybe not so familiar with VeChain really care about Hayabusa?
Yeah, I mean, if you're unfamiliar, obviously it creates a new opportunity around, you know, first visibility, more attractive APY/yields. People are interested in that stuff. If you're going to put your money in crypto, you've already accepted the volatility. People obviously want a higher yield for staking, which you know, obviously now we deliver. So that's a real basic like thing that will appeal to more people. But with this VeBetter ecosystem, you know, the more that grows, it basically is, you know, everything you do in this ecosystem is rewarded, right? And the staking infrastructure and VeBetter sit together as well. So the nodes have this kind of carryover where they increase your weighting and governance, and you can get more rewards through the VeBetter app ecosystem. So it kind of creates a synergy as well. And obviously, as we continue to grow that ecosystem and blockchain adoption scales generally, like the new tokenomics are kind of built to be more deflationary, more value capturing, basically. So the whole logic of this upgrade is to essentially try and support the growth of the network value, to put it in a politically correct way without saying, you know, number go up, and yeah, encourage more people to come to the network. So it's more attractive for devs, it's more attractive for people. We're continuing to grow the kind of business side of things, continuing to see transaction growth in the B2C side of things. So all in all, like the numbers are now better aligned to help everyone kind of grow and benefit from the ecosystem.
That's awesome, especially rewarding users that have been around for a while. So you have 7 billion total stake, which is pretty awesome. And it looks like the daily, I think the VeThor, right, is 15.8 million a day, which is kind of insane. And guys, if you guys want to ask questions, just feel free to leave it in the comment section. I already see a few here. You can leave it on YouTube or X. I'll find them. And then I did see that we had Crypto Princess join the VeChain Discord. And of course, all the links are in the description of this video. If you're watching on X, it is in the first comment. Before I get to the questions from you guys, I appreciate all the questions. I'm going to get to this next one. It's kind of my favorite, you know, it's VeBetter DAO. Because like you said, it makes it so, one of the things I like about it, it's like the things we do every day. You have a dog, right? The cleaning up the poop one, which I think everybody should have, right? In my opinion, this is one of the best things about this ecosystem, is because it just rewards people for just, you know, having, you know, better actions and creating, you know, a more sustainable impact on the environment. So can you elaborate on VeBetter DAO a little bit and maybe share some of your favorite decentralized applications?
Yeah, so it's a really cool concept, right? What we're doing at the core is leveraging tokenization to extract value from very small decisions or choices. Essentially, we call them actions here, but you know, let's give an example of, you recycle a tin can, right? You decide to do that versus chuck it in the trash. So all of a sudden you've put some metal back into a recycling loop, and it returns as a product. So you've actually saved money somewhere along a trail there, because now someone doesn't have to extract aluminium, process it, mine it, produce it, blah, 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 all that stuff. So there is a monetary value to these decisions that you make, but they're very small, right? So what tokenization allows us to do is monetize people's choices and decisions, which have a very small amount of monetary value, reward them with that value through the Better token. But obviously, when you do this at scale, this is where you really start to make an impact. So if you can start doing 100, 200 million, you know, actions across the world, I mean, obviously we'd want to scale that much further. But then you start to create a real like impact on sustainability in all different manners. I mean, an example, a really cool ecosystem we ran a few years ago was with BYD, right? The electric car manufacturer in China.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and per car, it was something like $50. So they were doing, they were recording things as carbon credits, and basically the user would save like $50. But then you scale that to 20 million cars, or I forget the exact number, so forgive me. But in the end, we end up saving like $500 million a year. So this is what I mean by the scale of monetizing a lot of people's choices. That has an impact over time. So it's designed as a lifestyle app because it's things you do every day anyway. If you commute to work on foot versus drive a car, then there's a saving, there's a CO2 offset, there's a fuel saving. Again, all these things are monetizable ultimately, and that's the power of Web3, because you have this very cheap way to capture information, prove it happened in time and space through obviously a transaction logged on a blockchain, GPS data, all that stuff hashed, recorded. You're able to create essentially a proof of authenticity that something happened. So this is the kind of underpinning logic, and we're growing this platform. We're up to 50 apps now, I think, 45 million transactions. I mean, we only won a mainnet last June. So we're seeing some really amazing growth, and obviously looking to keep that rolling. So excited about where it's gone and taking it further, taking it level up.
That's awesome. That's definitely my favorite part of the ecosystem. And also, I'm a huge fight fan, and I watch every single UFC card. Even if I'm by myself, I'll buy the pay-per-view and just watch it on TV in my living room. And I love seeing the VeChain sponsorship. Obviously, Dana White's heavily involved. You have a bunch of crypto people that are involved with it as well. I know that Wendy talks about VeChain quite a bit. AJ, one of the friends in the space, talks about it a lot. Always going to events and those sorts of things. So you guys are really getting out and getting active and putting VeChain in front of a lot of eyes. UFC being the fastest growing sport, they're going to Paramount now. It's going to be huge. I think as a mass adoption thing, to kind of tie this VeBetter DAO stuff in with regular people and maybe give them an opportunity to get into Web3. Okay, so I do want to talk about next back to Hayabusa. So what are the biggest change for node holders compared to before the upgrade? Because you just had an upgrade, correct? So maybe what are the biggest kind of benefits and biggest changes?
Say again, sorry. I was just actually sharing your space, so forgive me. I just
remembered
a tweet to get the VFAM in. Sorry, could you just repeat the question?
So what is the biggest change for node holders compared to and before the upgrade, pretty much?
Yeah, so biggest change, some pretty substantial changes. One being you get more rewards, which I think is what everyone likes to hear. Ultimately, the network before, every VET token was producing V4, and that meant wherever it was held, if it was on an exchange, if it was in one VET in a random dead wallet, it was all generating V4. In this new model, we've essentially cut that inflation by about 40% at the current staking levels, and all of the V4 now generated is only distributed to stakers. So that's the biggest change, right? You saw the 15.5K holders on the Stargate page. Basically, those 15.5K are now getting all the rewards generated on the network. The reason we did that is we want to reward active participation. We don't just want to have VeTho being generated idly. Obviously, it has a negative impact on liquidity, on inflation, all that stuff. So people that are willing to put their VET to work, let's say, they now get the rewards. And in exchange, because of this new consensus we're running, they help secure and decentralize the network. So that's essentially now a reward for helping us secure VeChain Thor. So it's a pretty substantial change. One thing that any node holder needs to know now is obviously first you've got to spin up a node on Stargate. That's the difference. That's our new platform. And then secondly, you've got to delegate that node. So that's just the term for pointing that collateral at a validator. So the validators are the guys that run the network. There's 101 of them. You can check them out on Stargate. They've all got different APYs, different bios. So we just had Wendy join us, actually. We've got some more KOL validators coming on board.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We're open to more.
I'm down. I had no clue that was a thing. So
we're trying to, create a real smorgasbord of different types of validators. So we've got community members, we've got BetterSwap, we've got Sunny Lou's up there, the big boss.
Yep.
We've got institutional actors up there as well. So we're just trying to create a marketplace of validators essentially. And they've all got different incentives, because the more people stake with them, the more likely they'll produce a block. So it kind of creates this cool game theory to validation where they're incentivized to have good uptime, be engaging, engage with their communities, all that stuff, bring in their own communities, bring in people from outside the ecosystem, grow their weighted stake so they can get the most rewards, basically. So it's pretty cool. It's a new thing for VeChain. Before, the validators were kind of, they were doing their thing, but it was all not really, that engaged with.
Yeah. Yeah, when you have other, obviously people with a following, I mean, that's going to get some of their community hyped. And this, you kind of answered the question a little bit, but maybe specify. So what do users need to do in VWorld or Stargate 2.0 to keep earning rewards?
Great question. Yeah, I kind of repeating myself now, but
yeah, exactly.
Get VWorld. There's an earn button, very nice and easy. It's on the home tab, bang, straight to Stargate. Have at least 10,000 VET in your wallet, and you go to mint an NFT. It's all nice UI, very, very straightforward. There'll be a maturity period. You can skip that now with this new boost feature we've added. So you basically burn some VETHO, and then you've got your token. And then once you've got the NFT token, you can delegate that to a validator, which is the kind of pool of people we just mentioned. And then after a certain cycle, we call it the cycle, the reward cycle. Once that elapses, then you start earning rewards. So it's like every 7 days, basically, you'll get a bunch of rewards at once, depending on how well your validator did in that period. So after that 7-day period, you can either choose another validator or stay on board. So we've got this feature called auto renew. You can turn that on if you kind of just want to set and forget. You just put auto renew on and you chill, and you just let the rewards accrue. And you can claim them anytime. If you do it 1 month later, you'll get all the rewards from that period. They don't disappear. So yeah, all good.
Nice. And I do have a question. Obviously, VWorld Wallet, it is new. I mean, I think it's nice that you guys to me, this is kind of the cherry on top to have like your complete own ecosystem. So this is a question from Forever a Bear. Can you explain how safe it is connecting Ledger signing permissions to Ledger just to earn VeThor? And maybe is the VWorld Wallet compatible with Ledger and those sorts of things?
It is, yes, indeed. And I love the name. That's funny.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, perfectly safe. So obviously with a ledger, your keys are on the device, right? So all the transactions are signed on the ledger. Nothing's ever transmitted off the ledger. So you're signing it remotely. Nothing hits VeChain Thor. Nothing hits anything outside your ledger. So if you're using a ledger, top job. You've gone the secure route. So you'll be absolutely fine using it to get VeThor that way.
Yeah,
that's how I do it. I mean, I've done that since 2018, 2019. So it's the best way.
Yeah, any sort of contract interaction, you just approve it on your ledger. It's it's cool that your wallet is compatible, because I obviously, like, some small time wallets aren't compatible, but we wouldn't expect anything less from VeChain. Okay, so if someone who is a VeChain user only does one thing that's the ending question. Okay, how does Hayabusa make VeChain more decentralized in simple terms? And we talked about being a validator and those sorts of things, but if you could elaborate on that.
Yeah, sure. So it's a good question, this one, because there's nuance, right? Actually, it was a bit of a FUD point for a while. So VeChain, we were enterprise focused initially, and we had a proof of authority consensus. Now, what that means is to be a validator in this old model, you had to do KYC. There was a decentralized committee that would review and just basically handle KYC documents. But the point of that was, in a time where people, enterprises in particular, didn't really know or trust the technology, they wanted to have this assurance layer. So basically, they wanted to know that the people running the network were trusted. So back in the days of ETH, earlier on, they were reluctant to use that because they were like, well, we don't know who's running the network. Like, how do we trust our data with that? Obviously, times have moved on, right? So we get new regulations. Times have changed, and especially for in MiCA, where we are in Europe, now there's a need for blockchains to basically be decentralized. They can have a foundation, which is a semi central management. Like, we produce tools, we maintain the network, blah blah blah. But the network itself has to be decentralized. So how we achieve that is, now the validator pool is public permissionless. Which, what that means in summary is, if you've got the collateral and you can run a machine, then you can get on the whitelist and you can run it, and you don't have to announce your name or who you are or anything like that. So anyone anywhere can run a validator now, whereas before it was KYC. So just to give some context of why that approach was taken, it met the needs of the time, but obviously, we're in a new era now. People finally get blockchain, what it is, how it works. So, that's good.
Well, you make a good point. I mean, the things have changed so much in the crypto space, obviously with the new president over the last year. And I mean, I've seen many projects during the last, you could say, administration or different people at the SEC. We get in trouble for all kinds of crazy things. So I'm sure that's what VeChain was trying to avoid. You know, as a bigger company, running into some sort of compliance issue in your jurisdiction and those sorts of things. And it's good to see the entire space kind of move back to decentralization, because that's what crypto is at its soul. It's decentralization.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, if you think about it, you know, the UK, man, they're pretty tough on crypto over there as well. We think it's crazy over here, but I know that you guys are kind of going through it, even during the last administration.
Yeah, even currently, man. I mean, they want exchanges to now send, you know, they send all your transaction history, all the wallets you link to. Like when I use Coinbase, I send a transaction off Coinbase. It's like, who are you sending this to? Write their details, write their address.
No way.
Who did you receive this money from? Yeah, I have to like say where it came from, who sent it to me. Otherwise, they like sometimes won't like allow your deposit to land, which is a bit draconian, to be honest. But
for sure,
I mean,
there were some pretty big banks doing that here. A lot of people got their accounts closed. It never happened to me, but there've been plenty of people that, had their accounts closed. Their bank sent them a note, or the transaction wouldn't go through, or something like that. And I think a lot of people forget, that just because we're still Western cultures, United States and the UK are completely different when it comes to freedom of speech laws, compliance and those sorts of things. So if you think we had it hard here, it definitely wasn't the case.
We did just finally get, you can now put Bitcoin in your pension. So that's
there it is. There it is.
It.
All right. So we have another question right here. From C90FTW says, Busa makes it DPoS, right?
Yes, sir. I love the abbreviation. We're going to bust that out.
C90's
Busa, Busa.
Yeah, right.
Delegated proof of stake. Yeah, you are correct. That's the new consensus now. So better rewards, less FIFA inflation, all the good stuff, more decentralized, more secure. Just a lot better for VeChain, and all went seamless. I mean, it is like, the analogy is, rebuilding a train as you're running along the track, right? You're literally got the engine running. 2018, 100% uptime. We got a reputation to maintain, right? We can't be any downtime. So obviously tech team, CTO was watching with sweaty hands, let's say, as that happened.
That's crazy. Perfect. I'm telling you, man, in this space, it's all about being able to get things done quick and efficient, and not having any issues. And I think we've seen that in the crypto space in general, especially with just tokens. Like, people will switch networks completely for cheaper fees, faster times, and those sorts of things. Talk about your fees a little bit. How are the fees using your network?
Yeah, I mean, very, very low. That's always kind of been one of our USPs, although I guess a lot of networks are low now. But 0.21 V4 per transaction. I mean, it's nothing really. It's so this is actually another reason, there's a little segue there, why we introduced some of the earlier features of Renaissance as well, like the gas fee market. Because we're so cheap, it's actually quite cheap to just spam the network, right? Yeah. So we had to put the Ethereum EIP 1559 in, which basically just means if loads of transactions come through at once, the gas fee just like goes, so it just gets more and more expensive. Obviously, that's only a temporary thing, but that's a byproduct of having such a cost-effective network. You are then more open to attacks, but that's been remedied now, so all good.
Nice. We get enough taxes. We don't need more taxes. Okay, this sponsorship thing, because obviously, UFC, VeChain, my favorite sport. They've been partnered for a while. One thing I like about the UFC is that it's all year round, so you're always getting, if you work with the UFC, you're always getting some sort of advertisement. But do you guys think, and this is from Selmo Fudd, shout out to Selmo Fudd, big Browns fan, shout out to Shedeur Sanders. He says, any chance of VeChain getting into sports promotion and NIL deals in the future?
What's NIL? Sorry, I'm a Brit.
No clue. It's probably just sports deals in general. Yeah.
I mean, never say never, right? Obviously, we're always open to working with effective means of marketing. Obviously, the UFC has been phenomenal for that. I think 900 million global viewership. It's
crazy.
Paramount's just come in, so viewership's going to absolutely rocket from that. So we do what's effective, really. So if that's an avenue, then I mean, certainly open for discussion.
The Paramount deal is so huge. If you guys don't know, quick tidbit about the Paramount deal. The UFC is pretty much moving to, instead of using ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, whatever, and paying for the pay-per-views like I do, it's just going to be like on Paramount. So if you have the network, I think it's a flat fee. It's definitely cheaper than ESPN Plus. it's going to be huge because more eyes are going to be on the UFC. Probably have commercials and stuff and those sorts of things in them, but a lot of eyes, are going to be on the UFC and obviously on all of their partners. So that's a pretty big deal. And we do have another question from, I think it's C90. He says, I'll ask Evie a question. If enterprises don't need to hold VeChain since gas is so low, what makes the real incentive for little holders like myself to hold VeChain long-term? Just the yield? And then he continues, maybe ask a more direct way, what ensures VeChain's demand increases as adoption scales beyond speculative investor demand?
Good point. I mean, that's a pertinent question for a lot of chains. I mean, the reason we've reinvented the tokenomics is ultimately gas fees have to be paid by VeFi, right? So creating a more deflationary environment, and especially one where now the stakers are basically the sole producers of V4, that is designed to be to create that kind of value case for the VET token. So you can imagine you've now only got 15,500 people essentially, and some of them are holding multiple nodes, generating all the network's gas. So they now have a monopoly. There's that 40% reduction in VeFi inflation in the first place, and ultimately enterprises do have to acquire V4, which comes from VET, obviously. So on toolchain, for instance, like Walmart, for example, they still have to have the V4 purchase for them. I see the question's grown a bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll keep going. No, so still enterprise stuff still goes on. I can tell you, I've got a meeting next week with a new enterprise partner, and the focus has been more on VeBetter, 100%, because the reality is, blockchains, they need scaling, they need transactions to scale, right? They need gas consumption, they need that kind of usage and transaction volumes. Now we have something like 350 business applications on the network, but a lot of them are still relatively low volume, versus something like so Walmart, obviously massively scaled. That was a great one, but that's partly because China, where it's based, they were way ahead on the regulation game. So even in 2019, they were already mandating and putting in place regulations for food traceability and security. So actually, this kind of, in a full circle way, shows the need for proper regulation. Because actually, China, for as much as people obviously have a certain perception of crypto in China, they're probably ahead of the whole pack, even though you hear a lot of negative news out of it. Certainly in terms of using it in ways that benefit the economy. But no, enterprise stuff still goes on, and we've definitely been more focused on social media on the VeBetter side of things. But yeah, that's partly playing the numbers game, and ultimately, we want to drive mainstream adoption, and we think this app platform direction is a better approach in terms of mass adoption. But yeah, business stuff still goes on, and you'll see some news in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk about the Walmart thing a little more in depth. How is that? What exactly, in layman's terms, for a person like Walmart and VeChain, what does that mean?
Yeah, so we've had this deal with them since 2019. Basically, they launched this food traceability platform with PwC. So anyone might be familiar, PricewaterhouseCoopers, pretty big in the accounting world, I think Big Four. Basically, they had a platform where they want to demonstrate to their customers where products are sourced from. So it's a supply chain thing, but it relates to, supply chains from the farms up to the product, the actual product on a shelf. So for instance, I know it's Sam's Stores, which is a kind of subsidiary of Walmart, or I'm not sure the exact relationship.
Sam's Clubs, yeah.
Sam's Club, that's
yeah.
Yeah. So you could buy like chicken, and then you could look at the farm, you could see where it was manufactured, what time, what temperature, how was it transported, was it kept at the right temperature, all that stuff. So it's like a two-part benefit there. First of all, food security in China, there was a lot of issues for a while. So they wanted the customers to be able to like be assured that their products are legit. But then obviously from a producer perspective, if you as Walmart get a batch of chicken that is bad for whatever reason, you can then look through the supply chain and say, this truck at this point went out of temperature. So then they gain this kind of new level of visibility, rather than just throwing it all away and being like, oh, damn, okay, well, that's all wrecked now. They could actually pinpoint which batch, which truck, hold someone to account. So it creates like a new value add for companies as well. It's not obviously just about letting the end user, the end purchaser, just like have a nice trail of information. It obviously is a major value add for the brand as well. So that's That's the main one. And I'll just chuck another point in there, because we've just announced a partner called Record in the UK. Well, they are in the UK actually. They're based in America, but hang on, let me get my ducks in a row. So they are doing digital product passports, right? This is a kind of a similar thing in Europe. So Europe's put in a regulation which is about products having to be sustainable, having to be recyclable, like a washing machine, a fridge, whatever. It can be a lot of stuff. But this is also now introducing the sustainability thing into supply chains, basically. So it's kind of similar in terms of the Walmart case, but now adding in the sustainability angles, which is becoming increasingly like mandated at these government levels. So, the move to sustainability wasn't necessarily a coincidence for VeChain. It's looking at a trend, which is, okay, transparency, authenticity of data, that's just going to become like standard everywhere. But then what do companies and governments want to see next? Well, it's like the producer has to prove that their cobalt isn't from some like mine, and they're abusing some slaves to get it. It's like starting to get that stuff out of the supply chain. So yeah, that's just an add-on to that and a pretty cool new direction. So if anyone's interested, check out recent announcement. We'll have some news on them next week as well. We're welcoming another tech partner there. But they're actually one of the first to start building out this infrastructure in Europe. So, Europe is mandating this. By 2026, large enterprises have to have this stuff implemented. And then by 2030, everything has to have this implemented. So pretty cool. We're ahead of the pack with this, and obviously hoping to seize a big part of that pie.
When we talk about mass adoption, obviously you guys have it on two different ends. Obviously, the dApps and the wallet for everyday person using it to be more sustainable in everyday lives, and then on a institutional scale, like that's huge. I'm sure a lot of people did not know that. And what's cool about VeChain, being in the game for 10 plus years now. When you have big established companies looking to get into the kind of blockchain crypto side of the world, and probably put some things over to the blockchain where it's immutable, you can't change it, and you get like real information. I mean, VeChain's probably one of the first, and a few others probably one of the first people they look at. So that's actually a huge deal that I didn't know. So I hear all stuff about Stargate and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And so focused on the staking and those sorts of things, but that's pretty awesome, man. And we're looking forward to the next announcement.
Oh yeah, well, we got some juicy ones up our sleeves. We've actually
give us a hint. You can't give us a little hint,
I'll give you a little teaser. So basically, we've got a big tokenization RWA project that's like Sino-US, so China and US based, and yeah, just working on the campaign around that. We're also going to be included as an industry partner for an academic and industrial use case with one of the world's most well-known companies. So
who's that?
Well, I can't tell you.
I thought maybe you'd slip up,
We got to do. There will be a press release coming out. I've actually seen the press release today.
Okay.
So yeah, stay tuned on that one. But you will 100% know the name. So that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. I think that in the crypto space, since the space is known for, because obviously this whole time we never mentioned price action or anything like that, because I think that people in the crypto space are so used to just price go up, price go down, and really not seeing crypto for more than maybe just like memes and just tokens, right? And pump and dump and those sorts of things. And I think what's important for just projects in general is to build regardless of what's going on, making those partnerships and trying to morph themselves like you guys are doing over the last year, change yourself based on the regulations, needs and requirements, and those sorts of things. And it's pretty cool to see you guys getting out there and becoming one of the companies that could be part of the big mass adoption. Because I don't think we're there yet, really, No,
I agree. I think, we firmly believe that like the real utility, real adoption story, let's say, that is the ultimate meta. That is going to be the long-term like thing, right? And essentially, we're just building for the world as it moves towards that adoption of this technology at large. There's going to be multiple layer ones. Everyone's got a USP. Like, we've got things we do that we don't do on that, other blockchains do. It's just going to be like this sprawling kind of multi-blockchain world. But ultimately, the real world utility thing, I firmly believe, is the most important one long term. And I totally see it. Obviously, I'm on crypto every day. I'm on X every day. Like you see shitcoin A, B, C, whatever. Like there's stuff flying.
That's what we want, baby. That's what we want.
You got to play the game.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, you can have fun in these projects, but like for me, there's a few, I stick a lot in the layer ones. That's where I see a lot of the value. So I'm a layer one collector, let's say, but it's the Wild West, man. And I think this next year, I think it's only going to get wilder. I know there's the 4-cycle theory concerns, but I think that's over personally. Like, we moved into a new paradigm. Liquidity's coming. ETFs have changed the nature of the money flows. I think 2026 is going to be wild. So stay tuned.
It's hard to say we're on the same 4-year cycle when things are just totally different with the president launched a meme coin. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
He played the alt market then, didn't he? That just went.
Yeah, we have BlackRock said it's their best ETF ever. That's insane.
Yeah.
A lot of institutional interest. So obviously things are different. And I always think about like the early days of like the internet. Obviously there were some early companies that are not here anymore, maybe like MySpace, Ask Jeeves, like different things. But I think that the OGs that are there, I know MySpace at the time, MySpace felt like it was invincible, right?
Oh yeah.
Invincible. But I think
Tom.
Say again?
Good old Tom. Tom.
That was crazy. I thought MySpace would be around forever, but obviously. But crypto, just like the early adoption of the internet, I think that a lot of the the early the bigger, more important projects, not the meme coins that live on hype, the projects that have utility to fall back on, who are making these partnerships right now, are going to be successful in the future when crypto eventually does become a bigger part of our everyday lives. Right.
Yeah, and that's why the tokenomics are really important as well. That's something we realize. It becomes existential. Like, you have to have sustainable tokenomics as well. So obviously that's why I wanted to launch Hayabusa, to bring it back to the start of the session. As we scale into that mass adopted world, transaction volumes bring value ultimately. So we need to make the tokenomics work better for that environment as well. So yeah,
absolutely.
The revenue model.
C90 says Rodney sure had a MySpace with Nickelback playing when you went to his page. Real quick question, Jake. What was your favorite profile song? This is going to say a lot about you, bro.
God, I can't. I was. Oh man.
If you're embarrassed, you can just say it. I mean,
I can't remember the name of it. It was like some crazy emo-y kind of.
Oh, dude. I know a bunch of emo bands and stuff like that.
I can't even remember it anymore. It was like some crazy electronic-y, emo-y, rocky. It was great. But I remember designing, and VeBetter as well. I remember designing your pages on VeBetter, and like your favorite girl at the time sends you a heart, and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, everybody was like a amateur coder back then, because you had to do that to yeah. You're
literally like coding your own page. Like, I think kids are well ahead of the time now, aren't they?
Amazon says, does your big partnership rhyme with Bamazon? You do not have to say that. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go.
It does not.
Okay.
It does not. But as big.
All right.
Too much.
I'm sure I'll make a video on it. I've been working with VeChain for quite some time now, making short form videos on all different platforms. All right, guys, we're going to be closing up the stream. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us today. We're going to leave you with one question, though, Jake. If someone who is a VeChain user only does one thing today in terms of getting ready for Hayabusa, what should it be?
Download VWorld. It's our super app. Get your stake ready. At least 10,000 VET. Stick it on the earn. Go to the earn button. Make your node and chill and watch things unfold. If you're just buying, holding, chilling, get it staked, earn some yield, and just kick back and relax while the cycle plays out. Or alternately, if you want to play with VeBetter apps as well, all in the same wallet, you can do that too. So you can stake and then check out all the apps, earn some rewards, and just have fun on that, and see how Web3 can be used from day to day. That's the key thing we're trying to show here. Web3 can be used all throughout the day.
Yeah, we're more than just meme coin, guys. Jayhawk's bullish on VeChain, and like you said, if you're going to use one part of the VeChain ecosystem, might as well use all of it, guys. If you want to check out anything we talked about today, links to everything are going to be in the description down below. Make sure to give VeChain a follow. Jake, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, and hopefully we can get another one soon.
Definitely, my pleasure, Rodney. It's been really fun, man. It was a good time chatting. I'll definitely be back.
Let's go. Appreciate you, brother. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.
Let's go see what Jay Powell's saying.
Let's go. All right. All right, brother.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. I appreciate you. We're going to be doing another live stream soon. Talk about, things we got going on, but I want to keep this as a VeChain stream. Guys, smash the like button on your way out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye now.